For 6 years, Sergeant Charles Dawson had been one of the few black royal guards to uphold the prestigious traditions of Buckingham Palace with unwavering dedication. When he first noticed the woman's racist taunts, it seemed like just another tourist trying to provoke a reaction, the kind of thing that happens all too often during the changing of the guard ceremony. But when she crossed a line by slapping him across the face, something inside Dawson snapped. The choice he made in that moment would shake the very foundations of what it means to be a royal guard, with consequences rippling through the halls of Buckingham Palace forever. The sweltering summer heat bore down on Buckingham Palace as the changing of the guard ceremony commenced. Sergeant Charles "Charlie" Dawson, a black royal guard in his early 30s, stood at attention at his post at the East Gate, feeling the weight of the day pressing down upon him. Sweat trickled down his face, soaking into the thick red fabric of his uniform and the heavy bearskin cap perched atop his head. Despite the discomfort, Dawson remained perfectly still, resisting the urge to wipe his brow or adjust his stance. He focused on his breathing, using it as an anchor to maintain his composure and dignity in the face of the punishing heat. The iconic ceremony unfolded around him, a spectacle of precision and tradition that never failed to draw crowds of eager onlookers. The regiment marched in perfect formation, their steps echoing off the palace walls in unison. The regimental band's music filled the air, a stirring melody that amplified the pomp and pageantry of the occasion. To Dawson, it was a routine he had performed countless times, but he understood the charm it held for spectators. For many, it was a living symbol of British tradition and the enduring legacy of the monarchy. Tourists clustered around the palace gates, their phones and cameras held aloft to capture every moment of the ceremony. The crowd was a diverse tapestry of humanity, families with excited children, couples stealing romantic glances, and groups of friends from various backgrounds, some local and others having traveled from far-flung corners of the globe. Children pointed excitedly, their eyes wide with wonder at the sight of the guards in their resplendent uniforms. Adults murmured in awe of the guards' discipline and poise, marveling at their ability to remain so still in the oppressive heat. Dawson had long since learned to tune out the noise and commotion. He trained his focus inward, letting the usual comments and laughter fade into white noise. His purpose was clear: to maintain decorum and order, serving as both a symbol and protector of this cherished national tradition. The heat continued to build as the ceremony progressed, but Dawson's resolve never wavered. Standing ramrod straight, he thought of the countless hours of training and the grueling physical and mental challenges he had overcome to earn his place among the elite royal guards. He remembered the pride he had felt the first time he donned the iconic uniform and the sense of responsibility that came with it. This wasn't just a job for Dawson, it was a calling, a chance to be part of something greater than himself. His introspection was abruptly interrupted by a piercing voice slicing through the murmur of the crowd. "Hey, Black One, can you give us a smile for the camera?" The words, heavy with condescension, were unmistakably aimed at Dawson. In the crowd, a blonde woman held her phone high, her face a blend of amusement and disdain. Dawson's training kicked in immediately, his face remaining impassive as he stared straight ahead. Years of discipline allowed him to maintain his rigid posture and neutral expression. Even as the woman's words sent a jolt of anger through him, he focused on his breathing, using it to keep his emotions in check. Frustrated by Dawson's lack of response, the woman's tone turned venomous. "What's with all this diversity?" she sneered, her voice carrying clearly over the murmur of the crowd. "If they're going to keep doing this nonsense, at least let real Brits wear the uniform." The small gathering of tourists around her laughed at her comments, their amusement only serving to intensify Dawson's growing frustration. He could feel the eyes of the crowd on him, searching for any crack in his stoic facade. "Look at him, standing there like a statue," the woman continued, her voice dripping with mockery. "Can't even defend himself, can you? Do you even speak English? Or just whatever they speak where you're from?" The words struck at the core of Dawson's identity, challenging not just his role as a soldier, but his very right to be black and British. Anger simmered within him, threatening to boil over. The woman's loud remarks and mocking tone quickly drew more attention. Onlookers began to hush her, urging her to respect the ceremony. A nearby security guard, noticing the escalating commotion, stepped forward to defuse the situation. "Ma'am," the security guard said, his voice calm but firm, "I'm going to have to ask you to step back and respect the guard's space. They're not here for your entertainment." The woman turned to face the guard, her expression a mixture of indignation and amusement. "Oh, come on," she scoffed. "It's all just a bit of fun. No harm done, right?" The security guard remained unmoved. "Ma'am, I understand you may see it that way, but you're causing a disturbance. These guards have a job to do, and we ask that all visitors show them the respect they deserve." For a moment, it seemed as though the woman might comply. She took a step back, followed by a young boy at her side. The crowd around her began to disperse slightly, some looking embarrassed to have been associated with her behavior. Dawson, still standing at attention, felt a small measure of relief. While he couldn't show it outwardly, he was grateful for the security guard's intervention. It was a reminder that not everyone shared the woman's prejudiced views. However, the respite was short-lived. As soon as the security guard walked away, the woman resumed her place at the front of the fence, her taunts growing louder and more aggressive. "Hey, black one," she called out. "Show us your teeth so we can tell you're real." Her laughter rang out, sharp and cruel, and to Dawson's dismay, some nearby tourists chuckled uncomfortably. The young boy at her side, about 10 years old, watched Dawson with wide-eyed curiosity. The boy tugged on the woman's sleeve. "Why doesn't he smile?" "Aunt Helen?" he asked, his voice filled with innocent wonder. "Because he's just a statue," Helen snapped, rolling her eyes. "They're not supposed to move, no matter what." The boy tilted his head, still watching Dawson intently. "But what if he needs to go to the bathroom? Or if he gets thirsty?" Helen groaned in exasperation. "Oh, for heaven's sake, Daniel, stop asking stupid questions. He's not even a real guard, just someone standing there pretending." The boy frowned, clearly struggling to reconcile his aunt's words with what he was seeing. Amid the bustle of the crowd, Daniel's treasured toy soldier slipped from his grasp, landing inside the restricted area near Dawson's post. The boy cried out in distress. "Aunt Helen, my soldier fell over there. Can you get it?" Helen, clearly annoyed, waved him off. "Forget it, Daniel. It's just a stupid toy. But it's my favorite," Daniel pleaded, his voice cracking. Helen let out an exasperated sigh and turned her attention back to Dawson. "Hey, you," she called out. "Pick up the toy. You're not doing anything else." Dawson remained silent, his training and sense of duty preventing him from breaking protocol. What happened next would alter the course of the day and Dawson's life forever.